moving straight ahead to night 2. And this is where the internal battle begins to decide whether this show is better than night 3, because I'm going to have a hell of a time deciding which is better. Let me just say that right off the bat, before I even start this, to be honest, because this show, awesome. The show that followed it was awesome as well. I'm going to have a very internal battle deciding which was better, but we will leave that until I've reviewed both shows. We opened this one up with Brodie versus Grizzly Redwood. This was a lot of fun. You know, I'm at a loss. I'm often at a loss to explain why Grizzly Redwood is so appealing as a face. Well, not amazingly appealing, but appealing as a face, because when he comes out, you're just kind of underwhelmed by him. But then when he starts wrestling, he's very easy to get into in his matches. I guess it's kind of like an underdog thing where he just has that kind of a presence about him as the underdog presence, and he just tries so hard that you can't help but get behind him. It's kind of indescribable, to be honest. But and then when he loses, such as in this case, you feel a lot of empathy for him. So you know, I really enjoyed this for what it was. It obviously wasn't long and wasn't fantastic or anything, but it was very fun, I thought. While it lasted, Grizzly Redwood has that indescribable face quality to him that makes me want to watch the guy. So there we go on that. Then we got to Team Big Japan versus The Future Is Now. Big Japan guys, ever more impressive than they were the first night. Well, of course they weren't amazingly impressive the first night, but they were even more impressive here. They had a good submission variety about them, and The Future Is Now still good workers. It was a very solid match, very good match. At this point, very surprised that the Big Japan guys were still winning, still progressing onwards. Still hasn't really dawned on me that they're actually winning me over bit by bit by having these good, solid matches. And by the time they were going to be gone, as I said before, I was going to have an attachment to them. I was going to want to have them come back, and we would see more of that in their semi-final match. So there we go on that. Then we got to Fatal 4-Way for a tournament for Best High Flyer. Can't remember the name of the tournament, unfortunately. But it was Amasis from the Osirian Portal versus Matt Cross versus Flip Kendricks from Aeroform versus Malachi Jackson. Malachi Jackson still very impressive, although the Jackson jokes, you know, parodying the Jackson family are getting very wearing at this point. You know, kind of a funny thing a few times, but they were still using them at this point, and they would not stop using them on commentary by the end of this, so that was kind of But behind Amasis, of course, because I'm an Osirian Portal fan, but he didn't win. I thought the finish was kind of weird. Matt Cross, I believe, I'm trying to work off memory here, he did a top rope move, landed on his feet, and then did a standing shooting star press. Seemed, you know, there are a lot of things you can take slide for in a promotion like CHIKARA for being unnecessary, I guess, but that did seem just especially unnecessary, that he had to jump from the top rope and then do the finisher. It seemed like he had no reason to go to the top rope, but that was kind of weird. But it was still a very solid, good match, I thought. And then we got to Cuije, Alebrije, and Oriental versus the B.D.K team of Claudio, Castagnoli, Ares, and Tursas. This was probably the best comedy match of the tournament up until this point. Cuije was somewhat more funny in this role because he was against Tursas a lot of the time, and the finish, of course, garnered some sympathy because Tursas splashed him, and that was the end of that match. But he was very fun while he was in there, and he was very fun while he was acting as a lure for the B.D.K to go after him and then being jumped by Cuije's tag partners. That was kind of fun. And on a whole, this was probably I was laughing the most for this match as opposed to the two comedy matches on night one. Not that those were bad matches necessarily, but I thought this was more fun. Just my opinion there. Then we got Christopher Daniels versus Hallowicked. This was a good match, and it definitely had a good story behind it. That Christopher Daniels was this big founding father of indie wrestling to an extent, and that good story for Hallowicked's benefit in that he went out there, he had a competitive match with Christopher Daniels, he didn't win, but the story of the match was enough to keep me interested in this, even though the wrestling wasn't spectacular, maybe not quite as good as you would expect from a Christopher Daniels match. You know, obviously you don't expect an amazing match, but you still expect a very good match. This was just kind of like a good match, but it had a good enough story behind it to keep being interested. And I was definitely kind of into this, but it was just kind of good. It was just good, I would say, just good. Then we got to the awesome of the night, I will say. The next three matches I thought were very good to almost great to really damn great, and I know I just kind of said a cluster of words there, but let me explain. We got to F.I.S.T versus Team Osaka Pro. This was really, really great, I will say that. This was an awesome match. Okay, not awesome as in 4 stars, but I'm not even using star ratings in this case, in this review at all. But they had Osaka Pro guys are lightning fast, and it had a good variety of moves from F.I.S.T. As I usually see from a F.I.S.T match, they always use a good variety of moves. Still not really getting that these guys are getting over on the basis of one tournament, because once again I'm surprised that the Osaka Pro guys went over. Thought the finish was kind of weird because F.I.S.T got cheated out of the win when they were playing the heels so far in this tournament, and they are heels to begin with, I guess, and the Osaka Pro guys were not showing any heelish tendencies whatsoever. You know, they used the tights on a F.I.S.T member that I can't remember who it was, but that's how they got the win. I thought that was kind of weird myself, but this was still a very good match, almost great, I would say. Definitely worth checking out, and I was just so into this. Just really, really good stuff. Then we got to the final of the tournament that was supposed to decide the best high flyer. Still can't remember the name of that tournament, but this was Frightmare versus Ophidian versus Cheech versus Rich Swann from CCW, and he was pretty good. I will say that pretty well. I've never seen him before, but he was pretty impressive, I would say. This was going along pretty well, and then after Swann was eliminated, this got really, really good. I will say that after the first elimination, this got really good, really fast. I really become more of a fan of Frightmare each time I see him. When it got down to Ophidian versus Frightmare, this was very competitive. This was very awesome, to be honest, and it was very much into this, very much into every near fall. And then when Ophidian won, I marked out because, you know, I like the Osirian portal a lot. I've said that time and time again, so I was definitely very into this. Definitely almost great, like the last match, almost great. And then we come to the, without a doubt, great match. There was no almost great in this case. The main event of this show was great, awesome, amazing. Not amazing as in great wrestling, great 5-star wrestling, but the drama in this match was just so there, so awesome, and so I was just so into this. Whatever doubts I had about the presence of Donst, Sanchez, and Lince Dorado on the first night were expelled to every degree possible in this match. The B.D.K presence was definitely there. Probably because, maybe it's because the Colony are better faces than the First Family. There's not many better faces than the Colony and CHIKARA. Maybe that was part of it. Maybe that was part of why the Night 1 match kind of underwhelmed me a little bit. But this was just an awesome, dramatic match. You kept guessing as to who would win. When Grey Knight was in the CHIKARA special, it was just agonizing to watch and wait to see if he would manage to escape it, or someone would interrupt it. That was just awesome to watch. And then when Soldier Ants got the CHIKARA special on Tim Donst, and Tim Donst tapped out, I marked out like hell, because I didn't know if I was going to expect it. You know, I knew that the final would not end up to be Team B.D.K versus Team B.D.K. I knew that wasn't going to happen, because that would have been, you know, suckish. But I was just wondering constantly whether or not this would end up being a case of would they lose by DQ? Would they get pinned? What would happen to get the one B.D.K team out? Because I knew that the B.D.K team that would be going on was Claudio, Ayers, and Tursas, because they're the 3 main guys. But Tim Donst did tap out. They did lose in a clean way, and it was just a major mark-out moment. It caught me off guard because I was not expecting it to happen like that. I really thought that it would end up in a DQ kind of way, because I wasn't just sure how much weakness the B.D.K would show in this. But the Colony won, just a major mark-out moment, an awesome, awesome, awesome match. And I will say that this is an awesome show altogether. If you wanted to give this a rating out of 10, I'd say 8.5 easily, maybe even better than that, because this was just an awesome show. At this point, I'm calling this the best CHIKARA show this season, aside from A Touch of Class. So there we go on that. On to night 3.